Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They're international. Have gotten fantastic feedback from people using them, and I am grateful that they are there to help people. Thank you, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, so today's question is, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. Up, down, up, down, up, down. They're still in the abusive relationship. So let's talk about intermittent positive rewards. This is an intentional behavior on the part of the abuser. So think of abuse like a clock, an analog clock, not a digital clock, although I suppose you could do digital too. It's just easier to look at it as an analog. Anyway, the point being is that 12 o'clock is high noon, is when they start the love bombing. Love bomb, love bomb, love bomb. You're the most fabulous thing ever. I love you, I love you, I love you. I can't live without you, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is everything I've ever wanted. This is fantastic. This is wonderful. And then about 3 o'clock, the discard and devaluation starts. Mostly the devaluation at first. So it's the devaluation, it's the nastiness, it's the meanness, it's the digs, it's the put downs, it's the whatever. And then when you realize what they're doing and you call them out on it, oh, well, suddenly they're nice again. So we're kind of bouncing back and forth between 3 and 12. Does that make sense? Then when they realize you're going to continue to put up with them, because they keep going back to the illusion you fell in love with, let's be very clear, that love bombing phase was an illusion. That is not the real person. The real person is the one who's mean and nasty and awful and horrible and terrible, because healthy, normal people do not treat people poorly like that. So then they continue on with the devalue, and then it comes to the discard. It comes to the really bad abuse. And again, if the target of abuse calls them out on it and, you know, threatens to leave, then suddenly they're good again for a little bit. But then they go right back into being awful and horrible and terrible. And then whatever happens, and you end up, you know, finally leaving them. But then they start love bombing you again. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes when the target of abuse walks out, the abuser is pissed and, you know, is going to show them and all of this stuff. But with an abusive relationship that's ongoing, like years, decades, right? That's what they do. It's like love bomb, devalue, love bomb, devalue, love bomb, devalue, roller coaster, love bomb, devalue, love bomb, devalue, love bomb, devalue. And then it keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse, the devalue part, because they're testing the boundaries. They're pushing the boundaries to see what they can get away with, because they're 2 years old. That's what 2-year-olds do. So they keep pushing the boundaries to see how much abuse you're going to tolerate. So this is called intermittent positive rewards, okay? So the abuser is loving and kind and wonderful and normal, and then boom, they're evil, they're mean, they're vicious, they're devaluing, they're putting you down, they're gaslighting, lying, cheating, stealing, disrespectful, etc. And then they go back up to loving and kind and wonderful and what we consider normal and, you know, all of that stuff. And it's a roller coaster. It absolutely is. It's a crazy roller coaster that y'all need to get off of. So intermittent positive rewards is a brainwashing technique that has been used on POWs throughout the centuries, but specifically in the Vietnam War. So the captors would, you know, the guards would be horrible to the prisoners, and then occasionally they'd be really, really nice. And then pretty soon, the more malleable ones were living for the days when the guards were nice to them. That's when they would interrogate them. That's when you get that codependency thing going on. That's when you will tell them anything to get back to being treated nice. So it's a brainwashing technique. Intermittent positive rewards. Intermittent positive rewards is also what we use in dog training. So when you're training a dog, you don't give them a treat every single time. You start lengthening it out. Now, when you begin to train a dog, yeah, you got to get them used to, okay, you're sitting, here's a treat, right? But then you start lengthening it out. Every other time they get a treat. Maybe every third time they get a treat. Maybe every sixth time they get a treat. And eventually you give the command to sit, they sit. It's a brainwashing technique. That's why it's so dangerous. So if you recognize that you're on the intermittent positive rewards roller coaster, you need to get off. You in danger. You in danger, girl or guy, because abuse happens to both men and women, and abusers can be men or women. So it's really important that if you recognize this up, down, roller coaster, constant chaos, constant drama, constant I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. That is brainwashing. They are trying to make you more malleable to their abuse because they're seeing how much you will put up with. That's what they do. They're evil, quite frankly. So intermittent positive rewards is used to condition you to live for the times when they're normal. And I have that in bunny ears because they're never normal. Healthy is consistent behavior. Consistent, getting really, really angry is a one-off. Getting really, really... Nobody normal says anything hurtful to people they love. They don't. Not on purpose. So, and then with a healthy person, when they realize they've said something hurtful, they apologize sincerely, which looks like, oh my God, I hurt your feelings. I am mortified. That is not what I wanted to do. I am so sorry. What can I do to repair the relationship? What amends do I need to make? That's what a real apology is. Anything less than that, and this is what usually abusers do. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry you made me. I'm sorry, but I really wanted to say that to you. I don't know. They don't ever really apologize. Or they'll do a quote unquote sincere apology. I'm really sorry I hurt you, which sounds sincere, but the behavior continues. So if the behavior is repeated, they were never sorry, ever. If you're really truly remorseful about a behavior, it doesn't happen again. But with an abuser, it happens over and 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 over. They don't stop because they're not sorry. They don't care. They don't have remorse. Remember, dark triad: narcissist, antisocial, which is psychopath, and control freak. The commonality between these three personality disorders: no empathy. Empathy is what is keeping the world going. Kindness. That's normal. Not having empathy is not normal. So, intermittent positive rewards. Anyone who makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster. Anyone who makes you feel like, oh my God, I'm so grateful they're finally back to who I fell in love with. No, you red flag on the play, 5 yards. You just got to be careful and you got to get out. Get with a good trauma therapist. Now, if you are still in the abusive relationship, I can guarantee you that they're going to prevent you from going to therapy. Absolutely. Here's the other thing I've heard. Oh, please, let's go to therapy. Let's work on it. That's tomorrow's video. We're going to talk about why that is no bueno. Don't do it. But you need to get your own trauma therapy because you need to understand why you fell in love with this person in the first place. So here are my recommendations. Get with a good trauma therapist, not just trauma informed. What is their background? Seriously, how long have they been doing it? And, do people like them? That's a big one. So look for a good trauma therapist. Look at reading CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Hide your books. Hide your books. If you're going to work on yourself, they're going to interfere with it. I cannot tell you the number of times I have told people, please hide your books. Please don't have your diary anywhere where they can read it. Hide all this stuff you're working on. the abuser will go through hiding places. Believe me, they will find the books. They will interrogate you. What are you reading this for? What is this about? Who are you seeing? I've actually gotten phone calls from abusers expecting me to just give them information and then getting angry when I don't. And then I very gently say, and I am now hanging up. Bye-bye. Click. I literally had to tell this one person, due to HIPAA laws, I can neither confirm nor deny that I'm seeing anybody. And unless I have a signed written release, I can't say anything. And I got an earful of 4-lettered words. And then I said, I am hanging up now. Bye-bye. Click. Yeah, that's how arrogant abusers are. And they will interfere with your counseling. They will try to come into sessions. I've had that happen. I literally had one barge into a session and demand to sit in. And I said, no, you go out to the lobby. You're not a client. And then, of course, he insisted that the target of abuse come with them. And I never saw them again. But, but that's what you do when you're a therapist. You do not let them barge into a session, and you protect your client as best you can. Because basically, this person wanted to hear what the client was talking about, because obviously abusers don't like to have their sins aired. And they certainly don't want their favorite punching bag to get a good, solid self-esteem to leave. So, yeah. And the client, may I make clear, did not want that person in the session. So they just chose to leave. So, anyway. They're heinous. They are heinous. They have no boundaries, and they have no problem interfering with therapy, harming people, etc., etc., etc. So if you find yourself on that intermittent positive reward roller coaster, get the CPTSD workbook, get the self-esteem workbook, CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker, Self-Esteem by Glenn Schiraldi, Facing Codependency by Pia Melody, trying to think, any and all other books that I've ever recommended. Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, or Regaining Your Inner Child by Lucia Cappuccioni. So read those books, guys. You need them, but hide them from your abuser. Put them in where you work, or put them someplace where you know the abuser would never even think to look. So just be careful. And of course, if you ever do any journaling, keep it safe. Keep it secret, keep it safe. I sound like Gandalf. Is it secret? Is it safe? You got to keep it secret, and you got to keep it safe, because they will take anything and everything you've ever said and use it against you. So, okay. No show this Sunday because it is Easter. The following Sunday, we are going to talk about fleas, picking up fleas, behaviors that we don't like, or when we look in the mirror and all we can see is our abuser, especially if it was a parent of origin. So we're going to talk about how to deal with that. So 2 Sundays from now, this Sunday is Easter. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Passover. All right. I will talk to you in not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. All right, guys. Have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.